Hi everyone, this is Heather Lottinen from the Flourish.Academy. This is episode 368 and today I'd like to share my initial impressions of the Nikon D850. But before I do that, let's talk about some facts. This camera was released in September of 2017. It is 45 megapixels. I am personally comparing it against my Nikon D750, which was released in September of 2014, and it is 24 megapixels. Okay. So that's where the facts end. Remember, the rest of this is just my opinion. I photographed a wedding rehearsal and a wedding on Saturday. Now, in all fairness, I was the second shooter at this wedding. This was my niece's wedding. I had hired a friend to be the primary shooter so that I could wear a dress and dance at the reception. So she was the primary shooter, which was great because that afforded me the luxury of playing around with this new Nikon D850. Okay, initial impression when I picked it up, it's heavy. That is my opinion. It feels heavy and clunky to me as a result of that heft. It is larger than the D750 and I just weighed it this morning out of curiosity. It comes in at 2 pounds, 4.5 ounces, and the D750 is 1 pound, around 13 ounces. 1 pound, 13 ounces. Okay. You might think to yourself, that's not such a big deal, but I noticed it immediately. As soon as I picked it up, I thought, gosh, that feels heavy. And at first I had my 50 mounted to it, my 24-70, I had my 70-200 on it. It just feels heavy to me. And again, if you are super fit, and by the way, I exercise every day. I consider myself fit. I wouldn't say I'm terribly strong, but I am fit. And this weight doesn't bother you, well, that's fine. But after carrying it around all day, my back and shoulder told me that this camera is heavy. So that, for me, is a real issue. That is not an issue for everyone, especially if you are not a wedding photographer. If you photograph portraits or other types of photography, that might not be a big deal to you. You might not have to carry it around for 8 hours, but to me, it was heavy. So that kind of bothered me a little bit. Then I'm shooting with this camera. I primarily shoot in aperture priority in manual mode. Finding the controls was not difficult. They are oriented a little bit different than the D750. That's not a big deal to me. I get new cameras all the time. But let me tell you what was a big deal to me. The white balance. Oh, the white balance. Okay, so I shoot in auto white balance. Why? Because on the D750, it does a really good job. And when it doesn't, I correct it in post-processing and I sync them all up. So I don't spend a lot of time with white balance and Lightroom, again, because they come out of the camera looking pretty good, but also because I can fix them in batch. So I had the D850 set to auto white balance and I immediately knew something was not quite right. It just didn't feel right to me. The images seemed all over the place. I mean, from one frame to the next, the white balance was drastically different. And I thought, what in the name of Mike? So as I'm looking at this white balance and I press the white balance button and I start to scroll through the options, I notice that in auto, there is an auto 0, an auto 1, and an auto 2, which I didn't know what those meant. Okay, of course, that is user error. If you don't know what something means on your camera, then obviously you're not going to use it right. I recognize that. And I scrolled through these and then there was another A that I didn't understand. What is A if it's not auto? But then what are these other autos? So I played with them a little bit at the wedding reception and I was just flummoxed. They were just all over the place and it didn't make sense to me. I put it in Kelvin because I understand Kelvin temperatures a little bit more, so I did that for a little while, and that's fine. But again, for me, I am comparing this against my D750, and my D750 works great in auto white balance. So, this morning, I was on the interwebs, and did you know that Nikon has a very handy website? It is at nps.nikonimaging.com. I will post this link below. And if you go to the technical solutions, you can look up your different camera model and they have all of these technical solutions that are really a summary of what you might find in the manual without having to look in the manual. So it's a little bit faster. Okay, so this morning I got on this website and I said, I have got to figure out what all this auto white balance is. There are 4 auto white balance settings. 4. Okay, to me, it should be, there's an auto white balance setting, AWB, auto. And then there's all of these different other settings that you can go with the different types of lighting and temperatures, etc. Did you also know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of fluorescent settings in this white balance? Fluorescent lights are the devil. We know this. They circle on hertz, so they emit a bunch of different colors depending on what type it is, whether it's sodium vapor, warm white, white, cool white, day white, etc. So that's why they have all of those settings, which is nice, but as a photographer, you're thinking, well, do I even know what the fluorescent lights are in this church basement except old and terrible? How would I know which one to set it on? I guess you have to study Kelvin and fluorescence, or just turn them all black and white and call them art. I don't know. Okay, so anyway, back to this auto business. This is what the website says. Auto 0 is keep white, reduce warm colors. Auto 1 is normal. Auto 2 is keep warm lighting colors. And then the A is a natural light auto, which means the white balance is adjusted for natural light, producing colors closer to those seen by the naked eye. Whoa, okay, that is a lot of auto options. So had I known this going into the wedding, I would have probably selected auto 1, which is normal, which to me would be AWB on the D750 auto, just straight up auto. Why all the different autos? I don't know. I think what happened is when I picked up the D850 on the day of the wedding and it just felt really heavy and clunky to me, I sort of developed a bad attitude towards it, which is not fair. I recognize that. And then this happened and I just was kind of annoyed. To be honest, it made me feel obtuse, like I didn't know what I was doing, and I don't care for that feeling. And the truth is, when it comes to the white balance, I did not know what I was doing. That's okay. I'm starting to go through these images now, and I mean, the focus looks good. Everything seems okay, like it works like it should, like you would expect. I am going to give it more of a chance this week. I'm going to run some tests with it and photograph some other things other than like a high pressure environment that is a wedding. But my initial impressions, well, if you were to ask me, hey Heather, after shooting with that D850 for 2 days, would you spend twice as much money on it over the D750? No, the answer is no, I would not, personally. I know a lot of people love this camera. I may grow to love this camera, but my job here at the Flourish Academy is to review these products and services and gear and everything that I do as honestly as possible, and I am currently just not feeling it. I am sorry. If you love the D850 and you want to comment and post about it, absolutely. I'm going to give it a fair shot. I'm going to do my ISO tests this week. So I'm going to shoot it in very high ISO against the D750 and see about ISO performance, because that is one thing that could change my mind. If I see incredible leaps in that area, then I might think, okay, we could take a look at this. The last thing that started to make me feel like, oh boy, was transferring these super huge, ginormous, ridiculously large files. Why? So I use a card reader on USB. Yeah, so it's probably not the fastest. I get what you're saying. There are faster ways to transfer files. That's fine. But these files in RAW, shot in RAW, are around, 60 to 65 meg a piece. Are you hearing me? 60 to 65 meg a piece? What? I mean, obviously double the size of the D750 because the sensor is double the size. Is the quality double what the quality is? I don't know. Who judges that and on what gauge? I'm not sure. But okay, you could get a faster reader. That's fine. And the XQD card should be faster. I couldn't use the XQD card because I don't have an XQD reader. Oh my. See how like one upgrade leads to something else? Oh, by the way, as an aside, I'll come back to these files. I had a friend recently that upgraded her camera, and she said, oh no, Lightroom won't read my RAW files because she had an older version of Lightroom. So I said, yeah, you probably need to, it's time to go to Lightroom on the Creative Cloud to make sure it can read your new RAW files. So she purchased it, she downloaded it, and then her machine was like, her machine would not accept that version of Lightroom because her machine was a few years old. So this camera upgrade went from camera upgrade to computer upgrade, well, excuse me, to Lightroom upgrade and then computer upgrade. So it ended up costing her a lot more than she would have initially thought. It's just something to think through when you're upgrading your camera. Okay, back to this file size. I get them loaded on my machine. I import them into Lightroom slowly. I have a fairly new iMac. It has, I believe I'm at 32 gig of RAM because I like things to be fast and I have plenty of space, external hard drives connected very fast, and it was just painfully slow. I let those load into Lightroom. I generated the standard previews, which is what I always do to speed up my Lightroom workflow, and I started to go through them just this morning really quickly. I have not edited them yet, and I was like, man, this is just too slow. I tried exporting a file. Oh, it took forever, and I thought to myself, I just cannot deal with these huge files. Now, you know what I did not check? And somebody's gonna say, why don't you just learn more about the camera? Well, I'm learning about the camera as I use it, thank you. But I am wondering, is there a setting on here for a lower version of RAW? Is that a possibility? A RAW small? I don't know, I can't tell, but I'll look into it. The monster files, yeah, Chrissy says the monster files. I don't know, you guys. I'm having kind of a moment here with this D850. I think I'm supposed to love it, and so far, I'm not even sure we're friends. I don't even think I would classify us as friends. I am currently more interested and tempted in grabbing a Fuji X-T20 with a couple of lenses at my next wedding to play with it because it's lightweight. I mean, weight matters to me. So obviously if weight is not important to you, then you might love this camera and it might be fantastic. But it's huge to me because it is not worth me sacrificing my spine over the course of my lifetime to carry around one or two of these at a wedding for 8 to 10 hours a day. Yeah, I could work out a little bit more and build up my arms, but I mean, I don't know. That's entirely the solution. I hope you're having a great day. Check back with me later this week after I perform these tests, and maybe I'll have a little bit better of an attitude about it. Listen, I enjoy playing and learning new gear. I just wanted to bring you guys the truth and how I'm really feeling, so I'll see you in the next video.